Hi, I'm Dr. Shanna Theobald, and I just wanted to do a quick little video and talk kind of about what COVID-19 virus is, how people get infected from it, and how we can prevent the spread and infection of it. So what is a virus? Virus is this strange pseudo life form. It has a strand of DNA or RNA in it contained within a capsule. And the DNA or the RNA is a set of instructions that tell organisms how to function and what to do. Because viruses aren't really a life form, they need a host cell to survive and replicate. So they basically hijack a cell and repurpose it and turn it into a virus replicating machine. So just a quick little picture of that. There's a virus with a strand of DNA or RNA inside of it. It goes to a cell and basically turns that cell into a virus replicating machine. That cell then dies and ruptures and releases all those viruses that then go on to infect thousands, hundreds of thousands of more cells. So when someone has a virus, whether or not they have symptoms, they can shed viral particles called virions. And I just think of the viral particles like glitter. Basically, it can get everywhere. Anything they touch, they can spread onto. So there's three main ways to spread COVID-19. The first is through direct contact or touch. The second is droplets, so coughing, sneezing, spraying, little droplets that you can actually see. And the third way is airborne, and that's just breathing. That's really small particles containing the virus that you can't see. And because the virus is so small, it's 500 times smaller than the diameter of a hair. You can't really even see it under a microscope, a normal microscope. It can hang out in these aerosolized particles. What exactly is an aerosolized particle? It's just like an aerosol can of spray paint. When that's sprayed into the air, you can smell it for a long time afterwards, and that's basically aerosolized particles that have been suspended in the air. They're so fine, they're so small that gravity doesn't really pull them down to the ground for a long time. So this is exactly what COVID-19 does, we have found. It hangs out in the air, and it may be viable, so it's still alive, for several hours. Right now, the studies show that it can stay alive 3 hours in the air, possibly longer. And we are continuously learning more and more about the coronavirus, the novel coronavirus, and what they really, the studies really show now is that it is airborne. So airborne means aerosolized particles. Interesting study from the University of Nebraska that just came out, and they sampled surfaces, objects, and the air from rooms where COVID-19 positive patients were, and they found that 71% of all personal items that were sampled had viruses on them. So, for example, a cell phone, 83.3% of the samples they took were positive with a virus. Toilets, 81% of the samples they took had viral particles in them. Remote control, things we touch, countertop rails, 65-75%, window ledges, 82%. The virus probably just settled out of the air onto window ledges. Room air samples showed that 63% of the samples they took had the virus in them. So they even took a sample of air 6 feet away from a patient who was breathing on oxygen, and that sample of the air was positive for COVID-19. So it just makes you think that 6-foot rule that we talk about, well, it's much better than nothing. It's not a guarantee. Also, coronaviruses can stay alive on surfaces, as we all have probably heard by now, on plastic. It can live up to 72 hours. On stainless steel, it can live up to 48 hours. Cardboard, 24 hours. Copper, 4 hours, which is very interesting. And then just to kind of put this in perspective, viruses slowly decrease over time, both how viable they are, how alive they are, and they also disintegrate over time. So let's say a person who has coughs or sneezes and it goes into the air, that as the time passes, that viral load in the air where they coughed and sneezed slowly goes down. So the longer time that is allowed in between, when a non-infected person comes where an infected person was, the better. When you touch something that someone else has touched, who's carrying the virus, you can get the virus. That's called a fomite. So a fomite is any surface that can harbor the virus, and then when someone else touches that surface and passes it on, they can pick it up. That is, if you ever hear the word fomite, that's what that means. So the virus then needs to get into your mucous membranes, or the next person's mucous membranes, in order to survive. The mucous membranes are the smooth, moist skin in your nose, your mouth, your eyes, and then that's how it will then get into your cells and try to take over. So when you touch your hands to your face, you can transfer the virus in. Again, this is a lot like glitter. You find it all over your face when you've been using it. So how do you not get the virus and become a vector? And a vector is someone who can transmit that virus to someone else, or someone who's carrying the virus. And that's with or without showing any symptoms of an infection or being sick. So there's 3 ways. Number 1, don't touch your face when you have touched something else that might have the virus on it. So when you're in public, anywhere you touch, you can consider your hands to be contaminated. We don't know, so it's better to assume that they are. Any highly touched surfaces, and the most common ones are, those grocery cart handles, the pump handle at the gas station, doorknobs. People are going, or door handles, people are pushing in and out on the same place. That's a really high touch place. Countertops, faucets, cashiers, when they, take someone's credit card, ring it up, hand it back, take the next person's credit card, hand it back. There's a lot of transferring of, that's a potentially important fomite. Even cash, if it can live on cardboard up to 24 hours, paper cash, probably similar. Elevator buttons. There was a study in China that showed one person in a mall infected 36 other people, and 16 of those people they never came into direct contact with, and it was probably through, those surfaces, those fomites. So to kind of prevent the spread, stop that spread, make sure you either use hand sanitizer, an alcohol-based hand sanitizer, and or wash your hands with soap and water for 20 seconds. Make sure you do that before you touch your face. And I can talk more about the specifics of that in another time. So the second thing you can do, wear a mask. Now that we've learned that these viral particles are aerosolized or airborne, we have enough evidence to know that everybody should wear a mask to protect themselves and then to protect others. And just think of it like this. If you're out walking, say in a grocery store or out shopping, a public place, and someone who was there before you has coughed or sneezed and releases those aerosolized particles into the air, when you walk through that same area, that air space, you can breathe the virus in and then get infected. And conversely, if that person had been wearing a mask and had coughed or sneezed, they wouldn't have transmitted those viruses out into the air to begin with. So wearing a mask for everybody makes sense. Another reason why the mask can work so well is that most people consciously, subconsciously touch their face so many times a day. 2,000 to 3,000 times per day is the average. And the mask can create that barrier to stop you from touching your face. And it also is just that ever-present reminder to not touch your face to begin with, and to really, be cautious when you're out in the environment. So number 3, stay home. Social distancing is one of the easiest, most important things that we can do to stop the spread. Everybody's a potential vector, and even those asymptomatic people are vectors. And so, and a vector, again, is a person who carries the virus. So the less traffic of vectors, the lower the chance of getting the virus or spreading the virus to somebody else. A great comment from Alaska's Chief Medical Officer, Dr. Zink. She basically reminded us that if every person were to self-quarantine and stay home right now, and if we could all do it all at the same time for 2 to 4 weeks, the virus would burn itself out completely. Your immune system would kill it off, or it would just stop spreading in the environment. It would fall out of the environment and die. That would have nobody to continue to infect. We love and honor our elders. There's so much that they have to teach us, so much more that we probably have to learn from them. And we also really care about each other, and those social connections, that human contact, that's one of the most important things that gives life meaning. And so while we all really miss that and need that and thrive on that, during this time period, the way we can care for each other the best is to stay home, FaceTime, find other ways to connect with people. Every little thing that you do can make a difference. I think about this, everything's on a scale or on a spectrum. 99 is not 100, 65 is not 99, 50 is not 65, and so the more we can do, the more we intervene and stop that spread and slow down, flatten that curve, slow down the transmission rate. Don't underestimate the power of what one person can do, what you can do, what each of us can do. And if we do this all together, we can stop the spread and we can get through this. Thank you.